Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the Art of Paul Apps. Now, in today's video, yes, I'm going to be doing a small demonstration for you in watercolor, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about my palette, my color choices. Now, I've done something like this before. I just wanted to bring it up to date, but I keep getting asked a lot of times by different students, whether it's online on YouTube or whether it's in my gallery in the studio in Hyde. But people ask, what colors do I really need for my watercolor? How many do I need to buy? And I know when you're starting off in watercolor painting or any media, really, it's an extremely expensive time because to get the right colors, you really, in my opinion, need to get good quality ones. We can all go out and buy 25 colors for under $5 and things like that. But really and truly, what you get is literally what you get. And if you buy cheap, you often end up buying twice. And at the same time, if there were a difference between student quality and, well, put it this way, if there were no differences between student quality and artist quality paints, then why would professional painters out there go and buy a more expensive paint if they didn't have to? And the reason is purely and simply in the quality of the paints themselves, the quality of the pigments that go into each of those paints, and also the amount of binders and bulking agents that go into cheaper paints. I'm not saying all paints or all color manufacturers are the same. There are some fantastic people out there, but the best ones that you can afford to buy are always going to be the right ones to go out and spend your money on. So it then brings a different question in. How many do I need to buy? Well, you don't need to buy tons. That's the big thing. I mean, there are some huge lists. I mean, you think of the colors that Daniel Smith and Schminker have and Winsor and Newton have. You could fill a truckload of boxes full of all the different colors that they've got, and you would never get around to using or mastering any single one of them. So no, you don't need to go and buy vast amounts. However, you can then decide to go to the other extreme and buy very, very few and learn how to mix colors accordingly. Now, I often do that with my oil painting, but I don't always do that with my watercolor. I've got to say, bit of a greedy piggy when it comes to colors and my palette. But when it comes to my actual watercolor palette, the one I take out in the field or anything else, they can vary from about 12 colors to from a small tin up to about, dare I say it, 16, 17, 18 colors that I've got in my Craig Young box. It's only designed to take 16 colors, and I have forced another 5 in there. I'm sure if Mr. Young was looking at this right now, he would be horrified as to what I've done to his palette. If you follow me on my YouTube or indeed on one of my schools, you will always find out exactly what colors I have been using. And I've gone through a whole raft of colors. And this is really what I wanted to talk about in the first part of this video, was the fact that never close yourself down to just using a set of colors. Open up the opportunities, check out and see. And only when you really are happy with the choices that you've made over a period of time of practice and using and understanding colors, then stick with the colors that you really love and no more. You don't need to. But even then, and this is the case with me, I have my core colors and they will never change. I love them. I have my core colors in my oil painting, and I have my core colors in my watercolors, and indeed in my gouache too. But every so often I get the urge to bring a new color in. And for the longest of times in the last recent years, and a lot of my videos on YouTube, which are watercolor ones, I have been using a fair spread of Schminker and Daniel Smith colors for a long, long time. But then more recently, I got hooked in a little bit to using Daniel Smith colors. In fact, I'll post one side, or I think it's that side. I'll post a video that talks about my Daniel Smith choices, and that might interest you. And if it does, great, have a look at it and see how you get on. But I got seduced a little bit in all the offers, all the different colors that company offers you as an artist, and I started buying different colors and adding them into my palette. And I was, it got to the point in the end, I just didn't know where to put the extra colors. I just ran out of room and it got a little bit crazy. So I've left them in there, but I don't use them very often. And the ones that I'm talking about here are things like quinacridone sienna. It's just a burnt sienna on steroids. But having put it in there, I rarely use it. And another one I've got is Aussie Red Gold. And that's a lovely color. And it's like a transparent yellow, again on steroids. How many times do I use it? Not very often. That is still in the palette for the time being. It may change. I don't know yet. The reason of making this video now, and I'm going to turn the camera down very, very shortly, is the fact that I have been thinking about my palette more so recently. And a lot of colors that maybe I've once used a long time ago, put out for different reasons, I have decided to maybe give them another go and see how I feel about them. And part of that is the fact that being English, I love some of our English watercolors of the last 100 years and before that. And people like Ted Wesson, John Yardley, his son Bruce Yardley, of course. And of course, you can't go on without mentioning Edward Seago, who is one of England's watercolor and oil landscape treasures. And there are an awful lot more. What I've been trying to do is understand in my own head what is a typical English watercolor palette. I don't actually think there is one. So I've been doing a lot of research, and I think that what I want to do, or what I have now done, is I've changed a few colors out from some of these modern colors that nothing wrong with them. I love them to death, and I've used them extensively for a long time. But I've changed them out and gone back to some of the colors that I used 20 odd years ago, 30 years ago, when I was sort of starting out. And I felt that those colors, good or bad, I kept them in, put them out, whatever. I want to bring them back because to me now, I feel that these are probably more typical of an English palette. If there is such a thing, I don't know. If there is, and you know definitively what it is, then put it in the comments underneath, because I'd love to find out what that is. So I'm going to turn the camera down now, show you what I've done, and then I'm going to do a little demonstration. It's only a little Romney Marsh landscape. You've seen me do them in the past, but I felt it'd just be a little bit of fun just to end this little video. And yeah, we'll take it on from there. Anyway, I'm going to get on, going to turn the camera down, show you what I've done, see you all the other end. Okay, everybody, now before we go any further, then just a quick natter about some of this stuff I've got in front of me. For those of you who follow me regularly, you'll notice that this is quite different to the norm. And you'd be right, it is. It's absolutely different. And I have had something similar to this in a larger size in plastic for a couple of years now. And I then fashioned a crude wooden one, which really didn't work out too well. And then a friend of mine who's got a lovely watercolor channel, you ought to check him out if you haven't already, James Potter, and he does a lot of plein air watercolors in Scotland. He's not Scottish, but he moved to Scotland at some point in the past, and he lives there with his wife, and they travel around in a relation, I think, to Clarabelle. They've got one with a high top, and so they travel around in that, have a wonderful time. But he does a lot of plein air, and he uses something almost the same as this. In fact, it was he who gave me an idea to revamp my old one and to come up with a design that works for me, and that's what I've done. I'm going to move it out of the way for a second or two, because this is really what this video has been about, and that is my color choices on my palette. Let's do it that way. Okay, so way too many colors. I'm sure I can hear each and every one of you saying just that. So the colors, I will list them in the show more tab of this video so that you have an understanding of what's being used. But the biggest changes are to two of my regular colors that have been with me for a long time. And that is the phthalocyanine blue, which this obviously is not, and phthalocyanine green, which again, this obviously is not. Now, The blue, I absolutely adore phthalo blue. It is such an electric blue. It is a cyan. It is a process blue. It is the nearest color to a process color that you always find in your inkjet printers. And a lot of artists have been using that for its brilliance and also its transparency. Now that's the main reason why I was using it. And I used its big brother, phthalocyanin green. Now, over many, many years, I have had a love-hate relationship with this particular color. It's one of those, and you often hear me say it in my videos, both on YouTube and on my school, that it is an animal. It's a beast. And if you don't keep it heavily reined in, it will run amok all over your painting, all over your colors, and you'll never control it. So yeah, love it or hate it, I've had it in my palette for many years, and also on my oil palette as well, and indeed my casein and also my gouache. As regards my watercolor, I have changed that too, and I've gone for what I consider colors that I used to use of viridian and of cerulean blue as being, to me, more traditional English pigments that English watercolorists have used in the past. So I think from the point of view of history, I think I'm on good ground, because things like phthalo blue, phthalo green, and other unpronounceable word colors that you see are modern colors. They are colors that are carbon derivative colors, and all of those colors that are made from carbons are transparent by nature, and they are also very, very modern to the artists in terms of the arsenal of colors. But these are modern colors, and I've always felt that cerulean blue and viridian are old traditional pigments, and that's why I brought them back in. Now, one other color I used to use an awful lot, and I dismissed it for the longest of times now, and I felt that by now it's also time to bring it back in. And one color that many artists that I've mentioned already in this video have used and do use, and some absolutely rely upon, and that is Payne's Gray. Now, it's got blues from, I think it's Prussian blue, it's got reds in it, it's got all sorts of other colors in it. So it's not a pure single pigment color. Lots of use it. It makes some great cloud ideas, we've got stormy cloud and heavy clouds like that. So you can do an awful lot with it, but I put it out for the longest of time. Let's put our paper that's ready to go back, and we're going to go on with this lovely little demonstration. Now, as I said, it is only a little bit of the Romney Marshes. Let's get on with this. I'm going to do a quick little sketch with a pencil just to give me some idea of where I want this to go. And I'm going to put a low horizon. There we are. Just a few lines, just as suggestions more than anything else. We've got a nice road. Now, the point is about this, that if I wanted to follow this photograph that I'm using to the letter, the road is almost superfluous. It doesn't really need to be in the picture at all. It doesn't make any sense to have it there. And yet I've got this horrible bit of stubble cornfield in the foreground that, again, doesn't bring anything to the picture. So what I'm going to do, quite honestly, is going to change it a little bit. And as an artist, you have that benefit of being able to do whatever you want to do. So I'm going to bring in and make up a little bit of a landscape here. So I'm going to take that line all the way through to kick off with. A fairly simple drawing of the Romney Marshes with the North Downs in the background and the flat lands of the farmland that make up the Romney Marshes today, but also that road, and trying to decide where I was going to put it and what angle and what have you. And I think this makes for a much better design, much better picture and composition. And the hills are now going in, ready for the next part I'm painting. I'm going to mix up my colors, and I'm going to start with my favorite color, which is cobalt blue, a really lovely blue. But I'm going to mix into that some of this lovely cerulean blue. That's the first of my new color changes, but I'm also adding some violets together with alizarin and a little bit of that blue, but I'm going to temper that with a little bit of yellow ochre in that and make a bit of a grey out of it, so I can put those secondary parts of the clouds in right now. As you see, just watch your amount of water to pigment.
Otherwise you're going to get horrible blooms happening. So if you take a little bit of care how you mix these and how you apply them, you should be fine and you should come up with some really lovely looking clouds. Hopefully that's what we've done.
Once this is all dried off, then I can come in with any heavier color that I want, or indeed some of this color coming through here. I quite like what we've got so far. So whilst that's drying, I'm going to bring in a very pale but cool green. So to that, I'm going to be using some more blue. I love this blue. And some yellow ochre. Now we've got a coolish green. And it is a cool green. It's not a strong green, but it is a cool green. And I'm going to bring that through here as part of our hillside.
Now these greens that I'm putting in are varied. Some of them are cool, some of them are fresher, some of them are lighter, some of them are darker. I'm just putting a first wash on so I can come back in with more and more detail later on in the painting. But I just wanted to put different greens in place first.
Okay, so that's pretty much dry. It's not perfectly dry, but it's pretty much dry to carry on with. So what I'm going to do is just quite simply carry on with the same brush that I was using. Now I'm going to add in a bit of Payne's Grey. Not too much. All I've done is I've shifted the Payne's Grey for that purple bluish color. There's a bit of blue in there. There's a little bit of red in there. But the Payne's Grey is soft enough in thin quantities. So let's just hope the addition here will just beef up some of these cloud forms through here. Now, if you are working on dry paper, perfect, because you should not disturb anything that you've already done. That's a little heavy. If I thin that out with a lot of water this side, then that should be about right. We should get away with that. Okay, let's just continue the idea.
What I'm doing now is adding another layer of shadow to the clouds, adding a little bit more Payne's Grey into the mix this time, but I think it works very, very well.
A little touch of the Payne's Grey just to darken it out a bit. I'm looking up at what we've got there. But what I think I want to do first, a little bit of iridium into this color, making myself a bit of a fresher green. Not too much, just a little bit more. Just going to come over here and put in what could be construed as the lighter parts of some of these trees, where the canopies of the trees are just picking up a little bit of sunlight, and then we can come back in with the darker values of that along the way and add in the shadows to our trees.
So now all the values of green are dry. I'm now adding mid-tones and somewhat darker tones to all the landscape, and that little bit of brown filled through the middle. Now that bit of tapping there, I'm using the belly of the brush, gently pushing down on it to give a broken edge to the bottom of that color. Furthermore, I'm putting in some other values, fresher greens to the sides of the road, the hedgerow, all of those sort of things, and I will add more to them later on in this painting.
Let's go back in and let's play around with the dark green on the hilltops under the trees. Now for that, we're going to be using some Viridian. I'm going to mix quite a bit up because we've got quite a bit of an area to do. But I'm going to first and foremost put some Payne's Grey into that, see what we've got. It's a little bit dark bluish color, but still very much a dark green. But to that, I'm going to temper it with a little touch of the magenta. Adding a little bit of red in there can actually help your greens quite nicely.
So if you're enjoying this video so far, then you can find the full version if you would like to over on my wildlife and landscape painting school on school.com. It costs you $15 to join per month, but there is so much more on offer. There is a lot of full-length videos, a great community, and a monthly live stream from me. So it is a great way to level up your painting and learn so much more from me, whether it be watercolor, oil, casein or gouache, or even just simply drawing. But I would love to welcome you there as my latest member, so check it out. All the details to that and my other school are available in the show more tab under this video and many other videos on my channel. Look forward to seeing you there, and don't forget you can always like, subscribe, and if you want you can always buy me a coffee too. That would be most welcome, and all of those proceeds go back into funding more videos for you to enjoy here on YouTube. Now back to the painting.
I'm going to come in here now and I want to bring this up a little bit higher. This is our tree, or one of our trees. And I'm using a lot of taps here. Not putting trunks in and just breaking up what you see. So some of it, there are trees behind it. I then come up with another big tree in. It may not be exactly as the photograph. I'm not worried. I really am not worried. I'm just going to come through there and suggest that there is a line. They are much closer, and I'm using broken edges here. I'm just taking a lot of pigment out on my fingers, and I'm using a little bit of a broken edge into that light in the foreground to suggest so much more. You know, you can drag a little bit through there. Could be another field up through the back there.
Okay, so this painting is now drawing to a close. We're putting those final bits of detail in, crossing the I's, dotting the T's as it were, but it's the darker elements, those little bits of information that add contrast to the scene. And that contrast defines the light overall. And that information that we're putting in now will just bring the whole scene to life. We're going to put a little bit of shadow across the road in a minute, and we're going to put a little bit more information in the fields, a little bit of reeds on top of those areas there. Just those final details that make our painting look so real to the viewer.
Not too much information. I don't need to go too mad. I think that does all it needs to do. If it's too hard, gently tease some of those shapes out and soften them. Easy done at this stage while the paint is still wet. Doesn't all have to be very, very hard edges. Poor lavender this time round thinks it's been neglected. A little bit, it has a bit. And a little bit of Payne's grey into that. Now if that's still a little too, put a bit of red in. Now we're getting to a bit of a grungy purple colour. So if you want to temper that, put in a little bit of sienna, just knocking it off the pure and knocking it into the realms of the grey. Now here you can put as much or as little water you want in, bearing in mind that the colours will fade over the period. So I'll put in here a little shape along here too.
The final part is adding this lovely shadow across the road. By doing it like this, it adds contrast to the road and suggests the light's coming from the left, but it also makes the road look flat, and that's really, really important. So we're going to do that. We're going to put a little bit more detail in the foreground, and we're pretty much done.
I think we've got a nice country road. We've made a very different picture out of where we started. And yeah, in fairness, I'm not quite sure where I was going to take that road to begin with. I'm quite happy with the outcome. It could be argued there's a little too central. I could have brought it over here a little bit more, give it a bit more of a dynamic. I think it illustrates the situation and the landscape very, very nicely. I'm just going to sign this now. I'll come in here. That should be dry enough now just to put my name in there. Sorted, signed and done. One little study of the Romney Marsh. Love it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun doing it. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you got something from this video, because I really wanted to just dive into the fact why I'm changing some colors. How important to me is to keep choosing and looking at colors options. I've gone full circle in a way, because I started watercolor donkeys years ago, and I pretty much had some of these colors in my palette at the time, and some of the colors that I've just ousted were those that come along and sort of jumped the gun and got into the mix a long time ago, but they were never there at the beginning. And I think Viridian and Cerulean Blue and certainly Payne's Grey, in fact that one, as I said, is in my other palette already. They are now making a resurgence, a reappearance, and I hope that you understand that reasoning. And I think I've got a little bit of paint up there, so I did actually manage to put a bird in. Should have put another one in. No, I'm going to leave it there. No, I'm going to put some birds in a minute. I hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you got something from it. I, as always, have a lot of fun demonstrating and painting something for you guys to enjoy and to learn from. And I hope you do. I hope you get something from this that you can take on in your own painting in the future. Now, as always, and will be in the future, I have 2 schools over on school.com. And one is my wildlife and landscape painting school, and that'll cost you $15 a month to be part of, or $150 for the year if you pay annually. But the idea of that is then you get full-length videos. The full-length version of this will be there for you to enjoy. All the line art and all of the color references are there. It's a great community, and a live stream once a month at the beginning of every month. So there is so much more on offer, and a lot more to stay more connected to me, to learn more from me, and to have a whole new experience when it comes to understanding and learning to paint better pictures. So I'd love to meet you there. I'd love to welcome you as my latest member on the Wildlife and Landscape Painting School. There is another school. It's only $5 a month. And for that, you get another great community. There's a lot more people in that, of course. And from that point of view, you get all of my YouTube videos that you're seeing right now on YouTube watching this. But you get them all there without any adverts. You access them anytime you want to, and they're all there. They're growing all the time. And on top of that, you're going to get the odd time when I get a chance to do a little bit of extra content for you guys. I'll put that in there as well, and also a little bit of behind the scenes looks as well. Never done that before, but you never know, it might be a bit of fun, so it's something else to look out for. But that's only $5 a month, so if you want to get involved with that, both the links for both schools are under this and other videos that I've got on my channel. So check it out, and I'd love, as I say, I'd love to have you on board as my latest member to either school. It'd be great to have you there and help you out in the future. So with that all said and done, if you feel that I've earned your subscription, please consider subscribing to the channel. I noticed that less than half of those who watch the videos here are actual subscribers, and it doesn't cost you anything to do it, but it really does help the channel grow and reach a much wider audience around the world who, just like you guys, want to learn how to paint better. So if you would do that for me out of the kindness, that would be fantastic. Click the bell icon, click the notification tab. It tells you every time I upload a video. You can always, by all means, buy me a coffee. There is a link to that underneath, again, in the Show More tab. And every penny that I get from that resource always goes back in to buying new pigment, new paper, petrol for Clarabelle, new paints, whatever it is. It all costs me money to buy and keep on creating new videos for you guys. So lots of people help support the channel in that way, and I would thank you in advance should you feel so disposed. Enough of all that. I'm going to let you guys get on. I'm going to get prepared for another video, and I don't know what it's going to be yet. We will get one going very, very soon. In the meantime, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, have fun doing it. I catch each and every one of you in the next video very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.